Oh, there's Random Palk, and today we're reviewing the original Final Fantasy II for the NES. Yep, this is the actual Final Fantasy II that unfortunately did not come out in English and was only in Japan. But for y'all that don't know anything about it, this is it. Now, of course, you get to name your characters, and this is the first Final Fantasy that later became the norm, where it had actual story characters instead of just making your party. So this is the first one to introduce that. So we're going to go ahead and quickly name everyone. Just random names. And then immediately starts off in combat. But this first combat, there's no way to win. So you're pretty much just doing this combat as a story part. Well, as you can tell, the original Final Fantasy had pretty much the same graphics, although slightly improved over the first Final Fantasy. But this game introduced all sorts of new things to the Final Fantasy series. Not only did it focus strongly on the story, but it also focused on story characters that would join you and come and go, which became a staple in the Final Fantasy series ever since then. Yeah, like I said, I just named them random names, but yeah, this game added a lot to the Final Fantasy series, which became staples in the later ones. Yeah, and anytime you see something in parentheses or brackets like that, you always want to learn that word because it'll be an important word to remember later in the game. So yeah, you always want to remember that in this game there are certain conversation words that you have to memorize. Otherwise, you may find yourself in a stuck position. Of course, you could talk to people to, find out information and pretty much generic RPG stuff like that. Yeah, just like the other Final Fantasies, you start with a set amount of money. Now, I thought it was interesting that in this game you can double equip shields, which actually is not that bad of a deal to do. Because in this Final Fantasy, you actually have weapon proficiencies, which you can check by stats, and you'll see not only do you have your regular stats with hit, where they actually do show the hit, evade, and magic defense percentages and all that, but you also see what your various weapon skills are, which like I said, it's something they added to the game that would be something that appears later in the Final Fantasies, so there is something to that. And pretty much this is where Final Fantasy started getting all the shit that made it what it is. There's the weapon shop. But what we want to go to first, after we get the shields, is the magic shop. Ah, can't afford any. Because in this game, just like the first one, you gotta train your person in magic. Now, one of the first things you'll notice in this Final Fantasy is that the fights are actually a hell of a lot more difficult, but not necessarily at the start. But you also notice you don't just gain regular levels. Your stats actually increase depending on what you use and what your proficiencies are. So if you want to have a person that's really strong casting magic, you need to make sure they focus only on magic casting. That's why I gave her the cure spell, because that was the only one I could afford. And that'll help build up her magic ability. And if you want a guy to be ridiculously powerful, give him a weapon and build up his weapon proficiency. Because at the end of each fight, you'll gain stat ups and shit randomly, depending on your, what you use. I also thought it was interesting how in this game, while you're walking around the world and shit, you're constantly seeing like airships and shit just flying around. I don't know, it's just a nice touch. Once again, like the original Final Fantasy, this game has mostly the same graphics, but really well done. And the music, even though it's a bit different, is actually not that bad. It's just as good as the original Final Fantasy in the music department. Even if the music does sound a little bit weirder than the original. But of course your hit rate is rather garbage at the start. But that's because you start so low with such bad weapon proficiencies. See how her health increased, and so does his. That's what I'm saying. There are certain There are certain things that you have to do in combat to get certain stats. Like to gain health, you have to be lower than a certain percentage of your health. And you'll gain health if you keep taking damage. And, you know, to gain magic, you have to use so much magic to gain more magic. But other than a couple of differences, it's basically Final Fantasy 1, but with added story and added characters. Of course, our first objective is the town we just escaped from. But the reason why we're not rushing right there is because we're trying to build up some money to learn a few spells and get some equipment. Because like I said, the enemies in this game get really strong fairly fast. Especially after you get to Canoe. Yeah, once you get to Canoe, the enemies take a major increase in difficulty. And in this game, you actually get to Canoe fairly early. So yeah, you want to build up a bit in this game. It's kind of important. Yeah, I'm trying to build her up to be a caster. That's why she's using nothing but magic. In the remake of this game, I don't know if it's in this one, but in the Game Boy Advance remake of this game, you can make yourself pretty much invincible by just equipping 2 shields and making it so you're so adept at blocking that nothing can hit you. But I don't know if that's a trick in this version or not, but I always thought that was an interesting little trick. But I do not know if that is a trick in this version or not. But if it is, then that's a nice trick to have. And if you make all your guys casters, then you can have everyone equipped with double shields. And that would make pretty much an invincible team if that trick was in this one. So that's actually an interesting little... God damn, it's storming really bad out there right now. Hopefully the power doesn't go out. I would like to finish a review today without something going wrong. So yeah, just like the little airships appearing and all that, that's just a nice little touch to add more to the world, because it actually seems like something's happening. But yeah, I need to really stop casting heal because my HP will never build up if I keep everyone at full health. Because you want to build up everyone's hit points, and the only way to do that is to take damage. I know there are other games like the Saga Frontiers and shit that kind of adopted that mechanic. But Final Fantasy II was the first one to adopt that mechanic. Now, I also like how in this game the poison will go away in combat, which is actually really nice that the poison will actually go away in combat. You don't have to you don't have to constantly swap your character formation every time someone gets poisoned. How much money do we have? 322. Alright, so we still need money. Why'd they all run? Anyway, we're about to move on. We were just trying to build up a little bit of money. And there's a really bad storm hitting us, so I have a feeling the power may go out. But we're going to try to finish this video. We're going to try to finish this video. So yeah, in this game you can technically, if you want to take the time to build up really super powerful guys, but it'll take so much time to do that for your entire team, it's almost not worth it. But yeah, this is actually an incredibly good game, and I'm sorry if you can't hear the music anymore because of the storm. Well, we're about to be done with this build-up session at the start. Just wanted to get the guys a little bit stronger. Plus I wanted to learn at least one attack spell. That way my caster can start building up attack spells. That way I need one more fight. One more fight just to make sure I have enough gold. Just to make sure I have enough gold. like the other one, you can adjust the speed of the text. For some reason, I made the text ridiculously fast, but that was unnecessary. Alright, let's see if we have enough money to pay for the inn and buy a spell. Yep, we do. So let's buy an attack spell, and then we'll head to the next town and actually progress. Even though if I was following RPG protocol, I'd be buying all the armor and everything else right now. But we're just going to buy an attack spell. That way we can teach our person that we want to build up as a caster an attack spell. And there we go, now we can move on to the first objective. Now, like I said, you get the canoe early in this game, but the difficulty in this game does greatly increase really, really fast. Which is another thing I warned you about. Oh, that is hot. I got a new fan, but it's still hot. I just hope the game doesn't crap out on me like it did that one time. But yeah, your first objective is pretty much going to the kingdom that you started at. And there's this little, like, halfway house thing, where you can heal and rest, and also buy some more gear on the way. So yeah, there's just like a little stop-off area. Might as well go ahead and heal here so we're at full health. God damn, it's hot. And now the first objective is this big-ass town. You have to walk around that giant-ass lake. Even during this storm, it's still fucking hot. That sucks. Now, of course, this is one of those games where you do want to teach everyone the heal spell eventually. That way everyone can at least build up the heal spell. But you gotta wait till you can afford it. Because you saw spells are expensive. Well, Cure is only 200, but after all this, yes, the review, so we're not doing everything the way I normally would, but I'm doing it well enough where we can actually make a review out of it. And your Force member, through most of the game, your Force member is going to be a story character that comes and goes. So yeah, your final member on your teams for the majority of the game are story guys that will come and go and leave you. But later on, you do get your final member back. But through a good portion of the game as a story character, that'll just come and go. But anyway, the first thing you want to do to progress in the story is go to this town that we're heading to right now, which is the same town you escaped from in that opening scene, and use the password Wild Rose at the bar. Also, while you're in this town, you gotta be careful, don't talk to any of the guards, because it will trigger a fight that's nearly impossible to win at the start. So yeah, when you first get to this town, do not piss off any of the guards. You can tell the ones you don't want to piss off because they're walking around with those black cloaks and shit. But yeah, your first objective is to get to the pub. As you can see, is on the edge of town. And yes, there are random encounters in this town, so that's one reason why I wanted to... That's one reason I wanted to be at 100% when I enter the town, because there is fights in this town. Yep, in this game, not every town is a safe haven. Your first objective is find a way to that bar. That is the first thing you gotta do, is figure out a way into that bar. Should have been paying attention to the story. Because you can't even really go to the inn in this town. One of these houses should have a pass to the bar in it. Yeah, unless you have a manual or a guide, this first quest could be a little bit hard to figure out. And unless you're doing something stupid like I was and not paying attention to the story, which I should have paid attention to because that ninja pretty much told you who to talk to. So yeah, my being lost is partially my own fault. Yeah, see, that's what happens when you talk to a guard. You get into this incredibly hard fight with the captains. And as you can tell, you cannot defeat them. So that's why you don't talk to the guards. talk to the guards, you die. And if you didn't save it, like I stupidly didn't, that's the end of the game. Then you have to start completely over. But as I said, this was a quick review of the game. I can actually play the game completely if you want me to. Let me know in the comments and I'll do a full run of this game. But this was just a review of it. Yeah, I probably did it in the stupidest way possible. But anyway, that's the original Final Fantasy II. Even though graphically about the same as the original Final Fantasy, gameplay and everything completely different, but still a great game on the NES. If you don't have a translated ROM, I don't know, play the Game Boy Advanced version, you know, Final Fantasy, which one was it? Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls, I think, has the remake. So yeah, there is a way to play it without having a translated ROM, but if you want to play the NES version, you probably need a translated ROM or the original Japanese ROM. But anyway, that's Final Fantasy II. I'm going to end this video here. If you like my videos, please follow and subscribe. I'll have other videos coming out in the near future. So until then, take it easy and y'all have a good day. I'm going to end this one here.